there is no one, not even yourself, that knows you better than him. And he really wants you not only to know that, but also to know that you're loved.
Hey, I'm Jonathan Unthank. Welcome to another edition of the Rewrite Podcast. And man, I am so excited to sit down, talk to a good friend, man, known each other for so many years, man. Brandon Heath, man. Thank you for joining me today.
Happy to be with you, my friend.
Yes,
Thank
sir,
you for having me.
man. How's good old Franklin, Nashville area today?
Man, it's good. It is it's humid today. I had to swim outside. I didn't walk out here. I swam out here. But I'm in the shade right now. It's still morning and it hasn't gotten crazy hot. The girls are just waking up. So we love the summertime here in Nashville.
No kid, man. I mean, it's the same where I am, where it's just nonstop humidity, and it's like summer has left you a big kiss right there. That's exactly.
I feel like it swallowed me whole.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, this is so cool where we get a chance just to talk for a few minutes about our stories and just an opportunity for you to share how you came to faith in Jesus. And I know there's those that will listen and be encouraged by your story because everybody's story is unique and different. There's those that have grown up in the church. There's those that have come to Jesus at a later age, and but wherever their story connects, it's always at the focal point of Jesus. So, man, I want to give you an opportunity just to share with those who are tuning in about how you came to faith in Jesus today.
And let me just say, everybody's story is worth telling. You don't have to have some crazy past or ordeal that you've been through. I think we all have a story that is worthwhile telling. So mine is, I grew up here in Nashville, Tennessee. Mom and dad were not musicians. Mom was a hairdresser. Dad was a police officer in West Nashville. And I just grew up in a great little neighborhood. It was an apartment complex. So there's tons of kids to play with, and we would often, ride our bikes around the apartment complex. And, it's back when we could ride bikes and nobody was worried about it. But I don't know. I had a great childhood. Unfortunately, my mom and dad divorced when I was 3. So my mom remarried and my dad remarried, and I grew up with 2 step families, and really enjoyed my step siblings a lot. I'm an only child, so those are really the only kind of siblings that I had. But I'm still in touch with all of them on both sides. Yesterday was my birthday, and I got a ton of texts from all of them. But I didn't grow up in the church. We would go maybe every other Christmas. We might go to church, but certainly grew up in the South, where faith is just part of the culture. And I came to know the Lord when I was in high school. I went to a very cool high school called Hillsborough High School. And, one of the things that I loved about the school is that there weren't really any bullies. In fact, the weirder and more different you were, the cooler you were. So nobody really got made fun of. And I know that's kind of rare at high schools. But we were just kind of a harmonious, very diverse group of people. And so, you had a small group of Christians, you had Muslims, we have a lot of immigrants that moved to Nashville. So we had ESL, English is a second language, but we had ASL, which is American Sign Language. So it was a very diverse group of kids. And there was a small group of kids that were involved in this thing called Young Life. And so Young Life is an outreach to high school kids. And I got invited to a Young Life camp called Malibu, which is on the West Coast in Canada, actually, not California, but in Canada. So I went there as a kid, and I remember hearing that's the first place that I ever heard the gospel. And I responded to it and ended up giving my life to Jesus that summer. And that's where my walk with faith started. Came back home, told my family I'd become a Christian, and they were a little confused because they thought we were already Christian. So I had to be careful with that because I didn't want them to think that they weren't people of faith. But my faith all of a sudden looked very different. And I started to read my Bible, and I started to go to church and be in a Christian community. And so it really meant that I lived out my faith and wanted to know more about Jesus and what it is that I had given my life to and who it was that I had given my life to. So that's kind of how I came to faith. I'll let you ask a question from there if you want.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude. Well, it's interesting just to hear the foundation because it started with, as a student and then coming back home and then it's like, oh, I got to own this now. I've got to dig deep for myself personally into this. How has that foundation led you to where you are as a musician and then a husband and a dad of beautiful girls, because that's infiltrated your entire life now. That's led everything. How's that foundation as a student brought you to where you are now, and maybe how you've seen God's faithfulness throughout that?
Yeah, it was massive. I may have to send you a little video of me that somebody took of me when I was in Young Life and when I was in high school, talking about having mentors, and we call them Young Life leaders. So I think mentorship is a big part of what you just asked me. First and foremost, you have to hold yourself up to Jesus, and how does your life reflect the way that Jesus lived and the way that he taught and the Beatitudes and all the ways that I think God intended us to be was the way that Jesus was, very loving and patient. So I think number one, that's been a big influence on me. But I think also I've had these great mentors that God has put into my life. One of which was a guy that he still lives in San Diego. His name is Bob Goff. And I would have met Bob in my early 20s. I think I was 21, maybe 20. And this was in the early 2000s. And he became, one of my early influences as a godly man and a godly father. And so as much as I would look up to Bob, he would also encourage me to pursue my own dad, So I think God just put a lot of great men into my life, and that's what I've modeled myself after. And I was playing music about the same time in my early 20s. And so my faith being the most important thing to me then is still the most important thing to me. And that's why I wrote my music about my faith and my journey. And it's still very much a part of who I am. And so I think those formative years really left a permanent mark on who I am and what I'm about. So I'm really thankful for those early days.
Oh man, yeah. That's and then you mentioned Bob Goff. He's just he's the hug guy, man. It's like you want to just fall into his arms of like fatherly love and humor, and man, I tell you what, exuding Jesus. If there's a
Yeah.
guy, man, he's one that you're right on. Yeah, you're right on with that, dude. What's it
Yeah,
like?
he doesn't. Go ahead.
Go ahead, go ahead, man.
Oh, he never seemed to have any fear. and that was one of the things that I think would often keep me from trying things, is I was just afraid to fail. And I just watched him do some crazy things and would go travel with him around the world. And I think it really showed me what putting your faith into action looks like. So I will always be grateful to Bob and that role that he had in my life, and he's still a part of my life. But I've got my own family, and uh, very, very much involved in uh, what my kids' lives look like, and making sure to be present for my wife. And I think I got that from him as well.
Mhm.
I've had some other great mentors. There's a guy in Phoenix that I really look up to named Stu. There's a guy in Santa Barbara that I met with when I was just out of college, who really encouraged me to find some guys around me that I am committed to. And it's funny, like when you're talking to a young man about being committed to other young men, it's a funny concept, but it really is like finding your brothers and
Mhm.
then staying with them. And that has been a big thing for me. I'm almost 50 now, which is crazy. And we've been meeting for over 20 years, this
That's
group of
wild.
guys. And it
Wow.
was because this guy named Byron, who lives out in Santa Barbara, who just said, make sure you find these men to put around you. And so, yeah, I really have looked up to them. And now I feel like I'm in kind of a role of mentorship and passing on that wisdom that I have learned as well.
That's awesome. Now you've got, your wife and your girls. Okay, I've got two girls as well. Quick girl dad moment. What's the latest for y'all? When it comes to raising and rearing girls in your home, what's the latest girl dad moment that comes to your mind first thing?
Mm. Well, I mean, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of drama. They're only 6 and 7,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm worried about my future. But you know, you can see my backyard in the distance. We bought this house uh, with the idea that our kids would play in the backyard a lot, and I guess I kind of envisioned having boys, and God gave me girls, um, and they are out here as much, if not more, than boys would be. Yesterday, we went on a little adventure to go play in a creek that I used to play in when I was a kid. And so I think just having this opportunity to play with them and to explore and to be outside, we try to limit our screen time, especially in the summertime. So just living a life of adventure and discovery and getting dirty, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, I feel like as their dad, that's my job, and so we've done a lot of that this summer, and but also, just sitting down with them. I have one that really like wakes up slowly every morning. She just needs to crawl up into my lap
Oh
every
yeah.
morning
Yep.
and doesn't need to talk or anything. She just needs to, wake up and being held by her father. I mean, goodness gracious, what does that say for us?
Hmm.
Starting our day sitting with our father, you know? I think my days are usually better like that. And I need to spend more days like that.
Oh, I totally agree. There's something special about just walking even through the parking lot to the store, and then you're standing there walking, and then all of a sudden the hand grabs a hold of yours. You
Oh,
know,
buddy.
I
And
mean, there's
listen,
that's like special right there.
it's special. And there's not a more proud moment
Yeah,
than for me it's almost like I want to show off my daughter, you
yeah.
know? Um, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like God extending
Hmm.
his hand to you, you know? Really, he is. He's saying, I entrust you with my precious daughters. So they're really, they belong to him. They're just in our care for now, you know?
You're right. You're right on, man. There's that touch point and that connection that like you're saying with that dads and daughters have, and then of course dads and sons. I have an 18-year-old son, and there's that leadership moment, kind of like you're saying with the mentorship. You're
Mhm.
not just a dad, or I don't feel just as a dad, but it's like, man, I'm responsible in some degree of leading him in the right direction and just setting him up as best as I can for successful future and things like that, and lead him in the right direction. But man,
Mhm.
I tell you what, dude, this has been so encouraging today. For someone who may be listening and maybe they're searching, or maybe they're like, man, I've heard about Jesus. I don't know much
Mhm.
about him. What would you say is just the first step? Just the first step for someone who may be interested in finding out more about Jesus and creating a story with him.
Yeah. I think the first thing you need to know is that even though you don't know much about him, he knows everything about you. And there is no one, not even yourself, that knows you better than him. And he really wants you not only to know that, but also to know that you're loved, and that he really wants to talk to you. And the way that he talks to you is through his word. So it's opening up the Bible, that is the God breathed word that was given to us by all these people that he entrusted with spreading the gospel back in the day. And there's a New Testament and an Old Testament, and there's history, and there is it's a great story, but it's a redemption story, and you are a part of that story. And when Jesus died on the cross, he died as much for those people in that day, the people that sinned against him and threw rocks at him and called him names. He died for them, and he died for me, and he died for you. And we don't deserve it, but we need to come to terms with the fact that he loved us anyway, and he says that we deserve it. And so it's really all about accepting that truth and that fact that Jesus was the Son of God, and that he died and wanted us to know that kind of love because he's our friend. And when you look at the gospel in that way, maybe it seems a little bit more attainable than it used to, because it's not for just for those of us who have our lives all together. It's actually for those of us who have fallen apart, or who are currently in a million pieces. He's the only one that can put us back together.
Right on, bro. Thank you for sharing that. That's
Mm-hmm.
an encouragement and a good reminder to me as well. I mean, because I get used to this as well, in ministry and things like that, and it's like, yeah, it's for all of us. It's for the person that we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see at the store later today. It's for the person that is on our kids' ball team. It's for the person that we see that may be on the side of the street asking for a little bit of change. It's for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the beautiful part of God's love and his and him reaching out to us. Thanks for sharing that, dude. That's so encouraging. How can we pray for you as we wrap up?
Oh man. Well, I would say it's kind of like what we were talking about before the interview. There's 2 weeks left of summer, and I just want to soak it in with my girls. So maybe that would be the prayer, that we would get a lot of time together. You only get 18 summers, right? So I want to enjoy every minute of it, and I'm thankful for it.